Hey guys, I know it's Tuesday, and if you're watching this video, then I'm going to say that what I tried to do today worked. Every Wednesday and Friday, I put out videos about my book, The Writing Journey. I've been reading out of Life After the Mistake. And then I've also been, on Fridays, I've been reading out of my Google Docs that actually has my Be devotional in it. But today I'm going to try something because on Wednesdays and Fridays, the videos that I put on YouTube, I do them on my laptop. And today this is on my iPhone. So I'm going to do a video on my phone and download it, Lord's willing, to YouTube. That's my plan. Because for some reason, when I do the videos on my laptop, it takes anywhere from 2 hours to 2.5 hours to get these videos downloaded on YouTube. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to try my phone. And already I got a phone call and I lost my video. So I'm trying it again. So just hang with me here. So, but I am going to read my speech that I'm going to do tonight, because it's about writing books, and I've got tips in here about writing books. So I thought this would be a good test to see how this is going to work, downloading a video from my phone to my YouTube channel. So today you're going to get to hear my speech for my Toastmasters Club meeting that actually is going to happen tonight at 6 o'clock on a Zoom. Guys, I'm in level 5. That's the last level of a pathway. And I've got 2 speeches, which is 2 like 20-minute speeches, kind of, sort of. And then I get to pick like an elective that's 5-7 minutes, more or less just summing up my pathway. And I've been in Toastmasters now for a little bit over a year, just a little bit over a year, I think. I think I joined in the end of September of 2019, and we have actually been Zooming now, though, since March. Ever since the pandemic hit, we've been doing Zooms, and we pretty much have met every Tuesday night. There's been a few nights that we didn't, but for the most part, we've met every Tuesday night on a Zoom at 6 o'clock. But what I'm going to do today, so if you're watching this, you know that my what are you going to call it? My trial worked. So that's what I'm doing. So this is the title of the speech that I am going to give tonight on Toastmasters. So you want to write a book? That's the introduction. Is there anyone, now see, this is what you do with a speech, with a group. So I'm going to ask a rhetorical question here. Is there anyone in this group this evening that has wrote a book or aspire to? And see, that gives you a little bit of time too. And then you wait a few minutes. And I do know that we do have one member that has wrote a book or a few books. And I have had a few members to say that they would like to write a book. So that's kind of like a rhetorical question, and it kind of an open-ended question. It kind of gives them just they can raise their hand or nod their head. They really won't speak, but not at this point. So then I go on to my speech. First, let me say that it is definitely a goal that most people have had at one time or another. I would like to share some writing tips that I've learned along the way. As most of you know, I wrote a book, and it is on Amazon. The first tip, now first let me say that these tips are not in no particular order. They're not in the greatest to the least, or the least to the greatest, or the most important to the least important. They're just writing tips that are the basic writing tips for anybody that is aspiring to write a book, or in the process of writing a book, or wanting to write a book. And I would like to share, okay, I didn't read that. The first tip that I would leave with my listeners today is to do your research. Do your research on different types of writing. Would your book be nonfiction, a memoir, a novel, fiction, because each one of those genres are different and they require different avenues. The second tip I would offer you is, as you begin to do your research, don't read or listen to too many voices, whether it is books or YouTube. I made that mistake and it caused me to get stuck for a few months. Find you a couple of people that you feel connected to in the genre that you are wanting to write. Nonfiction, memoir, whatever it is, fiction, novels, mystery. One reason I suggest just a couple of people is because I found out that no one way fits all. And that's what happened to me. I went looking for that one way to write a book. Everyone has different schedules. Some people are morning people. Some people do their best work at night. The main thing is the actual writing tips, not necessarily when those people write. The third tip I would offer you this evening is, after you find what kind of book you're going to write, then look to see what the word count is in that particular genre. I had never heard of word count before, and I didn't know that it mattered. In a memoir or a nonfiction, usually about 40 to 50,000 words is the norm. And when I first met the lady that would help develop my book into something that people would want to read, she mentioned the word count to me. I was proud of myself. You know, I had done wrote 10 chapters in 10,000 words. But that all changed when she told me I needed at least 50,000 words. Oh man, I was a long way off. It was overwhelming, to say the least. But I was determined to get this book out there so others could read it. I'll tell you though, I only made it to about 30,000 words. But I found in my research that short is the new long. Who would have knew? One reason is people's time is extremely limited, and more people are consuming short reads. But don't let that keep you from writing that 50 to 100,000 word book, because there are some readers that won't read anything less. Actually, statistics show that a lot of people still love physical books and like reading the longer books. It really depends on your reader and the genre that they choose to read in. The fourth tip is to learn to show and not tell. Now, a few weeks ago, Keith, one of our Toastmasters, he mentioned this to another Toastmaster that was doing a speech. He mentioned it after her speech. He talked about the hook. And this is something that I didn't know. But being a reader myself, I understood the concept quickly. This simple yet powerful knowledge could make the difference between someone reading your book or not. And I don't know about you, but I want people to read my book, to read my books, because I'm writing other books. If you don't hook your reader in the first couple of paragraphs, or at least the first chapter, they probably will not read your book. I want to give you an example of these types of writing, or these ways of writing, of showing, telling. So this first example is telling. Caleb was hit by a car while playing on the small neighborhood street. Of course, Caleb's mom was devastated, but turns out he only had a few cracked ribs. Now this is to show. Same story, just a few sentences added, but it's showing. Caleb's mom heard a scream from the street that would cause any mother to go in panic mode. She felt numb as she ran toward the car and the crowd that stood around her son that had just moments before let out a blood-curdling scream. Expecting to see her son laying in blood, he laid there without any outward physical marks. Soon the x-rays would show only a few cracked ribs. Now, I don't know about you, but even as I read that, when it said, the mother heard the scream, I could hear my own child or my grandson screaming in the background. You could feel that. And you could see that. You could see the panic. You could feel the panic. So that's what you want to do. You want to bring your reader in that they can see this scene happening and they can feel the emotions that your character is having, other than just telling them, you are showing them. Tip number 5, your title. Most of the time, people have in their mind what they want to title their book. But when it comes to marketing your book, the title is pretty much the first thing that will hook your reader. I learned if you're not famous, you need to keep it pretty short. Your title. Catchy, of course. In some of my research, I found out that some people are so bent on what they want to title their book, they're not willing to change it, even to draw more readers or to make money further down the road. The largest search engine in the world is probably Google. And what is the number one sentence that most searches start out with? How to and how do. I've done that even the last 9, 10, 12 weeks doing my computer class. How do you do this, this, and this? How to do this, this, and this. It's called keywords. Now, when you put your book out on a publishing platform, it will show up in the search engine if it's what people are looking for. I will add this in on this same tip, on tip number 5. I want to add this in. You need to place keywords throughout your book, possibly on the back as well in your teaser. When I published my book on the Amazon KDP, the Kindle Direct Publishing, it gave a place in the dashboard, on the behind the scenes, so to speak. It gave a place that you could put 7 keywords that might show up in the genre that you wrote. Also, in the description on the publishing platform, if you'll put keywords in that description, it could sell your book as well. If they put in several words that is in your description, it could pull your book up. It would make all the difference in the world if your book is being sold, read, or being pulled up in the Google search bars. I realize that some people write books or desire to write a book just to say they have. And they don't care if it sells. So these tips I am giving are mainly for someone that is wanting to become an author of multiple books or maybe make a living writing. It all depends on what your goals are if you desire to write a book. Tip number 6. And maybe I should have put this one first. Again, like I say, they're in no particular order. They're just tips. They're just writing information, things that I learned on my writing journey. It's your book cover. The cover is at the top of the list when trying to hook your reader. This may be one of the first things that you work on. But just like your title, you got to be willing to adjust or change it altogether. Just a quick question. Now here, this is where I'm going to this evening. I have already contacted this Toastmaster, a fellow Toastmaster, to like give me a brief description of what she looks for when she's looking for a book. She's a reader, and I know she likes to read. So I've asked her to kind of give the club a brief description of what she thinks or what she looks for when she's looking for a book to read. You know, does she look for the cover? What is it that catches her eye? What all does she look at that makes her want to read that book? So see, that's going to give me about a minute right there for someone to kind of come into my speech and take up about a minute. And that's my plan. And then after she gets through, then I will thank her and I will expound on what she said. Then we're going to go on with the speech. Okay, another piece of information about the book cover is most new authors want to have their picture on the front of their book. I was no different. But as most of you know, my picture is not on the front of my book. I gave my desires. I gave the thoughts that I had, the pictures in my mind. I gave that concept to the lady that was designing my book. And you know, and let me drop this in here though. Let me drop this in. Don't skimp on this part of your book. You don't got to spend thousands of dollars, but a couple of $100 would at least make your book look a little more professionally done. Okay, now back to my experience with the cover of my book. I shared what I had in mind to my designer, which was a picture of maybe me and my husband walking hand in hand with our backs to the front of the cover, and maybe a broken road in front of us. Then on the back of the book, there would be a picture of us showing the front of us. We'd still be holding hands, but then the broken road would have become whole. And after a few weeks, she contacted me and she was like, Sheila, I just cannot seem to come up with anything in that line. And I'd even told her she could use silhouettes. She didn't have to necessarily use our picture. She could just, if she come up with something in her mind, just to let me know. So she sent me what she had. Immediately, I fell in love. There was a few adjustments to make, but she had captured the story all in one picture. The cover and the title can make your book or it can break your book. And the reason you, as a new author, shouldn't put your picture on the book is because you are new. No one's going to buy your book for your picture. But anyway, I had after I told her what I was thinking in my mind of the picture I wanted on the book, I also shared with her the content of the book. And when she made the picture to match the content, it made all the difference in the world. So we're going to move on though. So you may say, Sheila, a lot of famous people have their pictures on their books. Yes, they do. And how many times have you, me, have purchased books because it had a picture of a well-known author? Joyce Myers, John Maxwell, T.D. Jakes, just to name a few. But you know what? We are not them. We're not famous. So we really don't need our picture on our books. So use your cover for a hook and definitely let your title relate to it. But now before I go on, I will say there is some exceptions now. And I would like to use an example. We have two Toastmasters on here, Brian and Tanya Patterson, and they are into health, exercise. They're into healthy eating, their lifestyle, that they do a lot of exercising. Now, if Brian or her together wanted to co-author a book, now you could put your picture on the book with you doing the exercise. That would relate to your book. But if your picture does not necessarily show anything relating to your book, then I would strongly suggest, especially if you knew, not to put your picture on the front of the book. Okay, now I want to relate this back to tip number 5 about your title. Now, famous authors can get away with long titles, such as 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, or Developing the Leader Within You by John Maxwell. Maybe one day after I'm famous, I might consider my picture on the front of the book, putting my picture on the front of my books. But until it's appropriate, I will continue to have them design without it. Okay, here's one more for the road. This 7th tip that I would like to leave with you this evening is marketing and publishing your book. I learned about halfway through my writing journey that a person should share their goal of writing a book. Bring your friends along, bring your enemies along through the process. And thank goodness I had done just that. I started posting my word count. I did some live videos. So see, I posted it when I started writing, and I shared a few things. But after I found out that you should bring people along with you on your journey, then I started to engage even more on Facebook, on media, YouTube, whatever. And after I got my cover design the way I wanted it, I made a copy of it. And I folded it and I put it on another book. But I made more videos about my fake cover, telling my followers that if you could hold it in your mind, you could hold it in your hand. I teased them with bits and pieces of the story. And guess what? It worked. That book came out of the gate like a racehorse that was destined to win. But behind the scenes, I was checking out publishers, editing and re-editing, and hoping the decisions that I was making would be right. We are living in an era that self-publishing is making its way to the top fast. Traditional is almost obsolete. Even now, I'm fixing to publish my first Be Devotional of a 12-month series. I'm researching the significance of owning your own ISBN, which is an international standard book number. It's kind of like the fingerprint for your book, or taking a free one from any of the many publishers that are on the market now. I will say that KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, and Ingram Spark seem to be leading in print on demand. The print, they let you download it, and you don't have to keep any back storage or anything with your books. People can order it, and Amazon or Kindle will print your book and send it out. Okay, in a world where you can write a book, market it, and promote it, during this time, there are thousands of books being wrote and published every day. Just like any other business, though, you got to be one step ahead of the game. One notch above the rest. It may be all hell breaking loose behind the scenes, but you got to keep your cool out on the front line. Now, I shared with you this evening 7 writing tips that I learned along the way. And by no means, I am no expert. I will be a student for life in this writing journey. But my heart's desire is that if you want to write a book, that you'll do it. But just like I stated at the beginning, it really helps if you do your research first. I did not know that. So I'm going to kind of do a recap of the 7 tips that I shared tonight. By no means are they all the writing tips. These are just kind of the 7 most important ones to me that stood out. 1, do your research on the genre that you're going to write in. Number 2, don't listen to too many voices. 3, find your word count for the genre that you are writing. 4, show, don't tell. 5, choose your title wisely. 6, take pride in your cover. It could make your book or break it. 7, market your book from start to finish and be lining up your publishing platform behind the scenes. This is just a drop in the bucket, but it touches some of the most defining parts of writing a book. I hope after today, you will look at writing a book differently. So guys, I did it. So far, I think I spent about 22 minutes actually on the speech, kind of interacting with you a little bit. So I've been on here 26 minutes. Again, I'm just trying something out to see if I can load my YouTube video or my video from my phone onto my YouTube channel. So guys, stay tuned. I'm going to have this out, and Lord's willing, tomorrow there will be a video out with me writing this. Now, I may try to do it today on my phone, but for one thing, I'm tying up my laptop too much because I'm trying to do computer classes and I need to be on that laptop. So I don't mind tying up my phone, but I need to untie my laptop so I can continue on with my computer classes. Y'all have a great day. Have a great week. I think it's Veterans Day tomorrow. We're still hanging in the balance in our country of who's president, who ain't president. It's just, guys, hold on to God. Stay strong. And I'll see y'all back tomorrow with reading a chapter out of my Life After the Mistake book. And I'll see you guys later.